regret. I'm gonna need an easy target.
See what we got here. Spaceballs on VHS, Spaceballs on DVD, Spaceballs on Blu-ray, Spaceballs on novelization. Oh, here we go.
Video game movies. Easy enough.
Hello, Internet. I'm called Matt. It's hard to make generalizations about movies. I could say all remakes suck, and you could say, well, what about Ocean's 11? Fair enough. I could say all sequels suck, and you could say, well, what about Judgment Day? Fair enough. But when I say all video game movies suck, all video game movies suck. But what about... No, that one sucks too. I mean it. Go back and watch any video game movie. I guarantee it's not as good as you think. Unless it's Tron or Wreck-It Ralph. But those aren't the types of video game movies I'm talking about. I mean ones based strictly on video games. Just look at their track record. I don't like throwing out random numbers to prove a point, but when we're talking about an entire movie base, I think it's fair game. Of the 29 live-action movies based on video games, the highest Rotten Tomatoes score goes to Prince of Persia: Sands of Time at 36%. 36. That's barely halfway to passing. Metacritic's a little more generous, giving Sands of Time a 50 out of 100 and even a 58 out of 100 to Mortal Kombat. What, Mortal Kombat? This Mortal Kombat? They must have as much ironic love for it as I do. And still you might say, oh, those are critics. They're curmudgeon-y old men who don't get video games. But even IMDb, which is run by nerds, and which has a grading curve since you can't give lower than 1 star, or 10%, the highest scoring video game movie is the first Resident Evil at 6.7. That's still not a passing grade. I may have passing grades on my mind right now. If you want to defend a video game movie, whatever. Just realize you're in the minority. Now, normally I would make suggestions on how to improve these type of movies, but you have consistently failed. You don't deserve to make video game movies. If video game movies were a student at Hollywood High School, they would be expelled. Seriously, movies, what did video games ever do to you? Okay, well, there are some good movie video games. You, however, have continued to make something that has failed to go beyond subpar. From the very beginning, it was doomed to be trash. The Super Mario Bros. Movie premiered in 1993, becoming the first video game-based movie. It would come to be an absolute critical disaster and box office failure. But one bad movie does not the failure of a genre make. Too bad they followed it up with the Borefest Street Fighter. You tried to trick me, combining my burning love of Jean-Claude Van Damme with my humble admiration of Guile from Street Fighter. But I'm too smart for you. Then came Mortal Kombat. It cut and pasted the entire plot from Enter the Dragon and had special effects that made Lost in Space look ahead of its time. But that could be forgiven if it weren't PG-13. Come on, a video game series violent enough to count Jason Voorhees among its ranks deserves at least an R, right? Oh yeah, I forgot. But as if that wasn't enough, they had to follow it up with the 10 million times worse Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Also, according to Wikipedia, somewhere in there was a Double Dragon movie. I've never seen it, but critics didn't seem to like it, so we'll pretend it's crap. That's 5 movies before the year 2000 and the dawn of Ewa Bowl. I won't even hold his movies against you, since everyone knows they were just huge money laundering schemes. But even if you don't count those, you should have seen the signs long before he even started. So that's my suggestion on how to improve the genre. Just stop. Okay, fine. Perpetual failure doesn't mean just give up. Why do you think I still try to have a dating life? Although if I'd been rejected 29 times in the last 23 years, I might rethink it. Regardless, let's talk about the best video game movie I've ever seen. I know up to this point we've been talking about the live-action movies, but now I want to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog the movie. It's admittedly not good, but it surpasses any of the live-action movies I've seen. And you want to know why? Because it's not based on a video game. Sure, it's based on the characters from Sonic the Hedgehog, but it's not based on the game itself. Game-based movies, even when they try to stay accurate, don't have special effects that look like the devil from Spawn's third-grade art project, and have no involvement from the person who would go on to make Food Fight, are ultimately still never better than the game. Because, unlike book adaptations where you're going from words to a visual medium, you're going from an interactive visual medium to a non-interactive visual medium. And now you're saying you're going to do stuff like a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Seriously, if you couldn't capture Mario and his amazing characters and eloquent worlds, how do you think you're going to be able to adapt a game where the major gameplay element is closing a door? You ever get tired of sucking so much? Sonic the movie is about the characters. It's unfortunate that Sonic has bugger all for characters, but it's a brand new story with people we've come to know and love. Also, I didn't realize this until I started writing this episode, but it seems Ratchet and Clank came out last week. My brother, who has actually played the Ratchet and Clank games and is thus a much better judge than I would be, says it's pretty good. You want to know why these films work? Because you're not spending the whole movie going, I wish I was playing this instead of watching it. So, if you are determined to make a video game movie, in spite of all your failures, let me spell it out for you which video game movie you need to make. Make a Duke Nukem movie. I mean it. Duke's got personality. If you can make a good Deadpool movie, you can make a good Duke Nukem movie. They are practically the same character. Look, I'll help you out even more. You know who should play Duke Nukem?
John Cena!
See, there you go. You got a movie and a cast. Now all you need the plot. Heck, I'll even give you the plot. You know what, screw it. Invite me to Hollywood, I'll make the whole movie for you. You're welcome. That's all for this week. I'll see you next week, unless Hollywood's wised up and let me make my Duke Nukem movie. Oh boy, do video game movies suck. That's this week's episode, folks. Be sure to share it with all your friends, especially your Hollywood executive friends. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. You guys are smart enough to subscribe without me telling you to, right? I feel like my views vastly outnumber my subscribers. So just this week subscribe and I won't mention it again. Alright, have a great week. Gosh, a Five Nights at Freddy's movie? Who's directing this nonsense? Oh hey, it's our friend, that twat face who made a PG-13 Poltergeist movie.